Your doctor said your labs are normal, but you feel far from normal. Weight gain, fatigue, brain fog, bloating. In this video, I'm gonna actually teach you why you feel like that and what is actually going on. I then am gonna show you the real lab testing I do inside my coaching practice to help clients lose weight effortlessly, get back their energy, and eliminate the bloating. Now, what I wanna talk about too is the issue with the conventional medicine lab range model in terms of when you don't feel well or when you're doing your primary care doctor visit, what they're testing is something that is not beneficial for you specifically, but actually based off a sick and unwell, metabolically unwell, that is, population. A population that is sick, a population that is declining in health, even though we are spending more money than ever before in health. It's astonishing. So I want to tell you the truth behind normal lab values, because that is a joke. Because if they were normal, then you wouldn't feel like crap. You wouldn't have insomnia, hair loss, bloating, fatigue, brain fog, weight gain, weight loss resistance, taking medication but it not working, thyroid medication. Today we have answers, okay? Because conventional testing looks for disease, not dysfunction. All right, you're not crazy. Your labs are just incomplete, and today we're going to talk about that. Conventional medicine measures disease, functional medicine measures function, okay? Here's a client right here, client Claudia. She was dealing with terrible anxiety, terrible weight loss resistance, terrible fatigue, thyroid issues, and no matter what she did, her doctor was not helping her. No one was helping her, and as you can see today, she has been able to drop 20 pounds of stubborn midsection belly fat, have energy, better life, better function, okay? What I'm going to show you in this video, I'm going to show you some intense lab work that maybe you've never seen before and lab work that I run inside my coaching practice and organization with many clients. I'm talking about clients with IBS, IBD, weight loss resistance, fatigue, hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, colitis, Crohn's, back to IBD, chronic mental and emotional issues, and so much more. You are going to hopefully learn something, and if you want help, I'm going to give this to you for free. I give all my clients free lab testing, so it's all included because I care. So let's talk about an issue that many women unfortunately deal with, and even men, and that's hormonal imbalances. Now, the main issue with conventional lab testing when it comes to hormones is that they are just getting one snippet, one snapshot, which can be very beneficial. But the thing is that when you are doing blood work, that is one period of time. On a Tuesday, when I wake up and do my fasted cortisol reading, or I do my annual, or I do some type of blood work, it's not going to be the same as like my Thursday reading or my Friday. It's going to be a distorted value. And so then comes the Dutch test. Okay. The second leading cause of infertility is hypothyroidism for female in the reproductive years, but the number one cause of infertility for women in their reproductive years is PCOS. This is why this could be so beneficial. Not only PCOS, acne, psoriasis. Okay, what are some other things? Infertility, just weight gain, weight loss resistance, chronic insomnia, night shift workers, swing shift workers. All right, so the Dutch test stands for Dry Urinary Test of Comprehensive Hormones. And this is going to be the one of the most beneficial tests because, as spoken about, it's not just one period of time that we're testing, it's four times throughout the day. Okay, we're going to get a morning, we're going to get an afternoon, we're going to get it before bed and before supper, before dinner, however you want to do the test yourself. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a real test, a real example test, and what that looks like for you. This test is one of the most astonishing tests to actually find the root cause of hormonal issues. I don't have all day to give you the rest of what actually this whole test can entail. I have many other videos online that show you. But what we see here is we're looking at all sex hormones, okay? One thing about this Dutch test is that it's beneficial and sometimes not beneficial, but that's why I run multitudes of tests, is that this is only gonna measure reproductive hormones like estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, full cortisol reading, which is one of the most beneficials about this test, and then their metabolization. So when we look at this test, it's really going to show us dials of what's going on here. Now, the big thing I want to hone in here, and I will show you the sex hormones down below here, but look at this daily free cortisol pattern. What does this mean? It's going to show us a 24 reading of our cortisol levels. Now, this is important because you think that you have high cortisol. You are wired and tired. You have chronic fatigue. You take 4 cups of coffee. You sleep 7, 8 hours a night, but you're still tired. It's actually not high cortisol. It's too low. Something called adrenal fatigue. Not Addison's disease or even Cushing's disease, but just a minute dysfunction that you're dealing with. And so this is crazy because you think that your cortisol is not important, so you want to suppress it. Well, unfortunately, many people are dealing with the opposite effect, so now they're just making themselves worse. Right here. So what we're going to do here is, this looks like one big chemistry lab project, but when you look at this, it's showing us, okay, your progesterone levels for a female. This is one of the most important hormones, especially during luteal phase, and for proper fertility functions. It's going to show us that their metabolites, beta pregnanediol, alpha pregnanediol. Okay, it's going to show us all 3 forms of estrogens: estrone, estradiol, and estriol. And it's going to show us all of your androgens. Now, like I said, there's many videos online that talk about PCOS, talk about infertility, talk about cystic acne being caused by these imbalances. But one of the most common is estrogen dominance, okay? PMS, PMDD, heavy periods, painful periods, or even missed periods. This right here can show us, because estrogen dominance is the progesterone relative to estradiol ratio, or estrogen ratio. And so as you can see for this individual, thankfully they're not dealing with that. But let's say, but this is the majority of people right here, they're all the way up here, their estrogen's right here. And that's a big thing. So that's just a Dutch test. That's just one of the first tests I run, because just imagine, you go to your doctor, you have infertility, okay, instead of IVF, or you got weight gain, and it's all hormonal, but you never know because they're not testing your hormones. They're testing some things so irrelevant like your white blood cell count, which is very beneficial, your CMP, which is also very beneficial, but isn't actually going to work on how the physiological functions work within the realm of weight loss. My favorite test, the gastrointestinal microbiome assay plus there we go, I butchered that one, but the GI map, all right, GI map, all right. So your gut is more than just a digestive organ. It doesn't just digest and assimilate food, which it is primarily a big function to do so, obviously. But the thing is that it does much more. It regulates your immune system. It regulates your hormones. It regulates your skin, your even heart, okay, your metabolism. And yet, GI docs are doing colonoscopies, endoscopies, giving out pharmaceutical medication that don't even do anything but suppress the symptom. So yeah, you might find some relief. That's why you find relief, because you suppress it, but you need to re-up it. You got to keep going. We don't do that because we find the root cause. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something really astonishing, because when you have that bloating, that constipation, that diarrhea, that IBS label, that IBD, there is a true physiological underlying root cause issue to that. Whereas you are dealing with an overgrowth of bacteria inside your intestines, or you're dealing with inflammation all throughout the digestive tract, or you're dealing with increased permeability, something called leaky gut. Now, any of these issues will cause a multitude of chronic health consequences like brain fog, fatigue, mental and emotional issues like anxiety and depression. Here's one thing. Your gut is your second brain. You know why? 90% of serotonin, this is a neurotransmitter, a thing inside your brain that helps with just perception of the world. It's housed in your gut. Here's another one. No one talks about this. 80% of dopamine, the neurotransmitter that makes us have motivation, drive, is in our gut. So what do we tell from here? Well, that means that if your gut's a mess, then it's going to throw off your neurotransmitters. All right, now I have mental and emotional issues, but then we talked about that it messes with my immune system. So now I got sinus infections. Now I got autoimmune conditions because I got a leaky gut. It's intertwined. Here's one thing. If there's ever anything for you to take away from my videos, here's one thing. Okay, you go see an endocrinologist, and they work on the endocrine system. You go see a gastroenterologist, they work on the gastrointestinal system. You go see a cardiologist, they work on the cardiovascular system. But here's the thing. They work in their own subsets, but they're missing the bigger picture and how the body works in unison, not in isolation. That's what I do in functional medicine. We work in unison together because that function is how you feel. So, as Hippocrates says, all disease begins in the gut, and this is so true. This is why this test is so clinically valuable, because it goes far beyond what blood work, what urine testing can do. Okay, everyone should be getting this test done. Elderly, parents, kids, children, especially nowadays. Like, because the focus issues, the cognitive issues, the skin issues, the autoimmune issues, all can stem from a poor microbiome. Okay, a microbiota that not well. Next one, total tox burden. Now this one is a beautiful test because it is going to show toxins all within the body. Now I'm going to show you a real test of the total tox burden test. Autoimmune issues, fatigue, depression, anxiety, all can be coming from this toxin test. Okay, and you just saw the other two tests I just ran. You saw what the issue with conventional medicine model. It really doesn't get much deeper than this, because has your doctor ever tested your toxicity load? Has your personal trainer ever talked about toxicity? Has your nutritionist ever did this? You know, they're looking at the food pyramid, they're looking at resistance training, but they're missing how the physiological, biological issues inside your body are actually hindering your results. I say this because I was once a personal trainer. I am a nutritionist, but I worked in a nutritional setting. I worked along doctors, and they didn't do this. They didn't test this. Okay, so this test, total tox burden test, okay, I'm not here to sell the test, okay, I'm here to help you, so just bear with me. So mycotoxins, heavy metals, and environmental toxins. These are 3 different forms of toxins, not the only ones, but the main ones. Mycotoxins are a lot of coming from food. This is like a type of fungus, usually coming from mold, but also can come in your environment. Heavy metals, you know when you get the jabs, yeah, you only know heavy metals in our food, heavy metals in our water, and then environmental toxins, like what is that? Environmental toxins, well, they're toxins in our environment. That's how bad our environment is that we got a toxin. Okay, so hey Diego, like, I want to get this test done. Like, why do you think I should get this test? Well, here's why you should get this test. Because you can't sleep throughout the night. You have no sex drive. You have extreme brain fog. You could have heavy metals in your brain throwing off neuroinflammation. So much more, okay? That's why we need to get this whole tox burden test done. All right, and now it's time for one of my favorite tests, and this is one of the most comprehensive blood tests that I run inside my coaching practice. Okay, we just talked about the total tox burden. We talked about the GI map test. We talked about the Dutch test. Now, this is going to be the male and female fat loss panel. Now, this is going to be such an in-depth blood test that I cannot even get into right now. But it's going to measure many different things inside your body that your doctor is not doing. Full thyroid reading, full blood sugar reading. We're talking about full hormonal profile. Okay, we're looking at everything: inflammation markers, autoimmune markers, nutrient status markers, iron, all these different things. And yeah, so there's not much more, because this is going to be more in depth than like what your doctor would be doing, but super beneficial. So if you want to get to the root cause and you want to actually fix your issues for the long term and get results that you see all over my stuff, then just message me labs down below. You can find me on YouTube at Diego Reyes Health. You can find me on my website, CompleteVitalityLife.com. You can also message my phone number personally at 507-508-8831. And I'm excited to connect with you and chat.